Hey guys, it's Philline, and welcome back to another episode of Philline, a podcast where we talk about what it's like being in your 20s and the 20s. For this episode, we're going to be talking about something that's coming up next week, and that's Christmas. And we're going to be talking about how we can still continue to be in the spirit, although times are a little bit different this year, and continue to just see the positive out of everything in our everyday lives. So let's get started. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode. I hope everybody's having a good December so far. I know it's a little bit different in terms of how we're living, how we're celebrating, how we're being festive, and just general spirit of Christmas. It's a little bit different this year. Personally, for me, I don't really feel like it's Christmas, and I think a lot of it has to do with the weather. It's cold, but it's not how it usually is, just like how everything is this entire year. I mean, it didn't feel like Thanksgiving, and it still doesn't feel like it's the holidays. Maybe if it snows or something, I have no idea. But honestly, a lot of it is just the whole COVID situation, just how this whole year's been. It's been very different and just out of the ordinary. So I don't know. I think that there's still many reasons to be festive and in the Christmas spirit. But right now it's kind of hard. I don't feel 100% about being in the spirit or festive or in the mood for celebrating Christmas. But I think a lot of that comes with the anxiety that I have about everything going on and just my worries about people around me getting COVID and just the fear of COVID. But I'm trying. I put Christmas decorations in the apartment. We have the Christmas tree up now. And we got holiday cookies, and we're just trying to watch holiday movies. But by the way, did you guys see the movies on Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus? They're horrible. They don't have any of the Christmas originals besides like the 2003 Grinch or something, which I already saw. And Marcus and I kind of have been looking at watching one Christmas movie a day until Christmas. But there's literally nothing interesting on the streaming platform, so I don't understand. I know Netflix is trying to make up for that, for having original holiday movies, but I don't know. I feel weird watching it. Sometimes it's not good, and you get your hopes up, and then you waste an hour and a half or 2 hours, so I don't know. The only movie I did see on Netflix, though, was Holiday, which was cute or whatever, but I don't know. The originals still are kind of my favorite, so if any of you guys know any streaming services that have the classics, that would be great. Another thing I'm really excited for is that I graduate tomorrow. It's finally over, my master's degree all done, and I'm definitely not going to go back to school, but maybe in the future. We'll see how that goes. And by the time this podcast comes out, basketball will already be starting. I'm so excited, and I know that COVID might affect the schedule, but just the fact that it's coming back gets me excited. I love basketball. It's literally my favorite sport out there, and I'm just so excited because I just love basketball. And even right now, it's kind of at an off schedule as it usually is in the previous year, so it's nice to have it around, especially when I'm at home doing absolutely nothing. And for all you gamers, I don't know if you guys play Fortnite anymore because I know all the Fortniters moved to Call of Duty and other games, but they did have a new season with The Mandalorian, and I just started. It's really cute and fun. So yeah, if you're feeling like kind of going back into Fortnite and remembering how fun it used to be, you should definitely download it. It's really fun. But back to movies on Netflix, Hulu, or Disney Plus, the non-holiday movies and shows, Euphoria is coming back. Well, not really. There's like a mid-season type filler episode, which is the background history on Rue, who is one of my favorite characters. And then Big Mouth is coming back too. So there's a lot of things to kind of keep ourselves occupied, at least while staying at home this holiday season. And the thing with Christmas is that I think a lot of people associate Christmas with traveling and going to see family. And because of that, because the fact that the coronavirus has taken that away, it feels like it's not a thing, like it's canceled. But it really is this spirit more than anything. And just because you can't do things in person, like going to see the Rockettes at the Christmas Spectacular in the city, or going to a parade or seeing large amounts of family, doesn't mean that it can't be done in other ways. And again, this is why I'm super thankful for the fact that we live in a technology era, because at least we can use technology. Can you imagine if we didn't have it? It would be so difficult to even continue to stay in connection with other people. Even I don't take too much advantage of Zoom and other things like that, but it's really useful, especially around this time when the spirits and kind of your festive feelings of going to see your friends and your family. It's hard because it is just so different from what we're used to, and we still have to be mindful of the fact that there are going to be surges of the coronavirus everywhere, especially because people are still going to go and travel and see their family, and that's what freaks me out the most. I had to cancel my plans specifically because someone I knew had COVID and we had to be careful and quarantine in case. So just thinking about the fact that everybody is going to be exposing themselves possibly, it gives me a whole lot of anxiety and it freaks me out because I don't think people still understand how easily we can lose control of this thing again. Just thinking about crowded spaces for Christmas and even New Year's. I forget that New Year's is right after Christmas, which is going to be even scarier because everybody's going to want to be in crowded places and with their friends and family to celebrate the new year. But we have to be extra, extra careful. But weird thing, now that I'm sitting here and actually thinking about things, I actually was guest featured on Chase Pond's podcast. You guys can look it up. It's called Pond's Press. And a lot of his podcasts are on SoundCloud. You guys should look it up and take a listen. I was super nervous because it was my first podcast interview ever. But he had a good point, and we were talking about at one point about the fact that why is it so hard for people not to travel for Christmas? And a lot of it is it's engraved in our brains. And this ties back to the whole routine episode that I had earlier this season, that we're so used to doing the same thing that basically breaking us out of that habit is very shocking to us, and we almost don't want it to change. So that is why everybody still thinks it's okay to travel. I think that freaks me out a little because even just how we celebrate holidays is a routine-like mentality in our head that it's not something that we're actually naturally excited for. It's just that it's been occurring every year for our entire lives so far, and that is why we continue to celebrate certain holidays the way that we do. And I truly think that applies to just life in general. We're so used to doing the same thing, having the same routine, that when something so major like the coronavirus happens, there are a lot of people that are in denial that something really big is happening that is affecting everyday life. So I feel like we constantly have to keep reminding ourselves that there is a pandemic, and we have to keep being self-conscious of the fact that we do have to be careful being around people, because things like the coronavirus can spread real quick in a snap of your finger. And I think that's really important for especially the younger kids to understand, because a lot of us think that we are super vulnerable. And even I thought about that for a little bit. It's been a while since the coronavirus happened, and I haven't gotten it since, knock on wood, thank the Lord. But when I continued to not have it for a little while, I was like, okay, let me go see my friends a little bit, and I trust them that they're being careful about the coronavirus. But realistically, nobody is safe from this. So it's nice and all to go and see your family and see your friends and still somehow celebrate Christmas, but there's always that hidden risk that someone there has the coronavirus, and that's super scary. And I hope people remember that when they are traveling, because it can spread so fast without everyone really realizing it, and people won't really see the numbers rise until people start to go get tested, because the numbers are actually 2 weeks after or a week after everyone gets tested. So by the time the numbers come up, it's already too late. It's already spread out in the country. But on the bright side of having to spend Christmas at home, there are Christmas traditions that maybe you haven't been doing, or you haven't even started because you've been elsewhere for Christmas. Me and my family, we used to go to Florida quite a lot, especially during the holidays, and that's something I truly, truly miss. But on the bright side is that we can finally be at home for the holidays. We literally never, ever, ever stayed home for the holidays. And I know it's very opposite of what everyone does for Christmas, but it was our tradition. And it's really sad to think that we won't be going to Florida. But now we can do some actual Christmas traditions at home. Maybe, and just maybe, we'll build gingerbread houses. We'll actually watch some more Christmas movies, but not Christmas movies while we're traveling from one state to the other. And we can just sit at home and actually take a break from the busy life that we have. And don't get me wrong, going to Florida was fun. We were always going to Disney World, but even just staying at home for the holidays is something we really never did. So I think it's still something cool for us to finally do together as a family. And even if you don't want to stay at home for the holidays, there's a lot of things you can do outside as well. There's a lot of light shows in New Jersey and maybe in other states as well that are actually kind of becoming more popular these days. I think it's so cute. You get to just sit in your car and drive around and see a bunch of huge light statues and just everything lights. And even that, there's holidays in the park with Six Flags doing a bunch of things for the holidays. And that's outdoors, so that's somewhat safer than kind of being inside in a crowded space with people. But yeah, there's a lot to do, and it's not something that should make you feel limited or stuck or in a tight space, because there's a lot you can still do if you just think outside the box. Think outside your normal schedule, your normal thinking, your normal routine these days, and something will come up. One thing that I do have to say about Christmas in our 20s is that it's changed so much to me. I don't know about you guys, but Christmas used to be a time when I would wake up super excited about all these presents from my relatives and my mom making all this food and just having Filipino hot chocolate. I don't know if you guys know what Milo is. It's so, so good, especially if you mix it with this powdered milk called Nido. But it's such a different time now, and now instead of getting the presents, I have to plan presents, and it's very stressful. What once was a relaxing and fun thing for me is now kind of stressing me out a little bit, especially because it's hard to kind of think of what to get for everybody. And now I'm finally starting to realize, when I was younger, I was always like, oh, why isn't my mom getting presents for all of our family friends, all of our family? And it's a lot. It adds up, and it can cost somebody hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on which family members you're trying to get presents for. And on top of that, it's great when you're a kid because nobody is asking you questions about your personal life, and if you have a boyfriend, if you're going to get married soon, if you're engaged, if you're graduating school soon, what your job is. And I love talking about that, but sometimes, like I said before, it's definitely really up in my space, and sometimes I just cannot take all the personal questions at once. And honestly, one of the hardest questions I get is, what do I want for Christmas? I almost never know what I want for Christmas because everything that I think of seems extra or unnecessary to actually have someone buy for me. And I think that's really weird too, because I used to have a lot of things in mind that would come to mind whenever someone would ask me that. But now it's like, I don't really know what I want, especially during these times. What do I really want that would benefit me that could be used better elsewhere? And most of the time now, I really just only ask for money because I'm sure, like everyone else listening, we're all drowning in bills. And I feel like that's one of the biggest presents that anyone can get me. So I think in terms of that as well, how we see Christmas has evolved quite a lot in our 20s. I'm only 24. So just thinking about how much it's changed for me in the past 4 years, and especially how the pandemic is and how that's changing me mentally as well. It's interesting to see that I really did see Christmas as just a time to get presents, but now I'm kind of seeing it more as something to be more grateful for, especially for the fact that other people may not be as fortunate this time around to have everyone around the table for Christmas time. And it's a sad thought. That's also another big reason why I don't feel 100% festive, because it's going to be such a different year for us in that sense too. There are going to be specific families and people who aren't going to be as happy these holidays. And I think it's important to remember that everyone around you could be going through something related to that. So I feel like although the anxiety and the pandemic is not making me as festive, I have to remember that it's important to spread the good energy in the middle of something that is essentially hurting a lot of people. Because if you think about it, especially with the younger kids, older people can really handle changes to things, especially the pandemic and changes to their routine, because they've kind of already experienced a few life-changing events or things that have changed their routine. But for younger kids, they can't really wrap their head around it yet. So I think it's important to remember, especially during this time, that it's important to reach out to your friends and people that maybe you haven't connected with over this time, because they might be going through a lot of shit that they're not really vocalizing. And especially when the holidays come around, it's always hard for people who are struggling with something. So I like to remember that when Christmas is coming around the corner, that we should be grateful for everything we have and who's in our life right now. But yeah, another thing that I've noticed is kind of different this time around, and especially Christmas in my 20s, is that now we're kind of reaching this age and this time where we're kind of starting our own traditions with our own families. People are kind of moving out and they're getting married and kind of doing their own things with their significant others and their families that sometimes wasn't as it was before. I feel like sometimes the people I used to see in holiday parties and things, even myself, I was able to spend the whole day with my family celebrating Christmas and whatnot. But obviously now that I'm in a relationship, I kind of have to figure out how much to spend in one family's house and then in the other family's house. So it's kind of hard to spread out that time evenly and make sure everyone's family is getting the right amount of attention. That also applies to people with broken families and divorced families, where it's hard kind of to spread out the time evenly. And I think that's another reason why not many people are as festive anymore, because of the fact that it is becoming a lot of hard work and extra effort needed. And speaking of hard work and effort, now that the pandemic's happening, the percentage of people giving gifts will drop significantly as well, because even just giving someone the gift can cause exposure to coronavirus, or even just require so much more work to go over there and just drop off a present rather than meeting in one place. Man, but let me tell you, I am really sad that this year we're not going to be doing the usual, because I not only would have a huge family party with my family and my family friends, but I'd have Friendsgivings and Friendsmasses with my friend groups, and even that is just so sad because I haven't seen a lot of my friends in a really long time, and I really wonder if they're struggling the same as I am emotionally, because it's hard out here. Some days I feel like I don't know what to do with myself. And yes, there's a lot of things to be productive, but sometimes staying in the same place all day, every day can get really nauseating and kind of irritating sometimes, because I'm in the type of person who needs things to change every now and then. So sometimes even having these Zoom calls and the FaceTimes and the house parties and whatever methods of talking to people isn't enough for me. I mean, I can't do anything about it right now, obviously, but it still kind of low-key drives me crazy. So I feel like I have to really work on continuing to do things to occupy my time. And I think this Christmas time is a very big time to do that. There's a lot of things I've never done before. And yeah, I've never built a gingerbread house before. Yes, I'll say it right now. We're super Filipino and we don't really follow the traditional things. So that I can try to do. Never really stuffed my stockings either, or sang some Christmas songs, or just stayed in and had wine, honestly. I've never really done that during the holidays. But Americans think that they celebrate Christmas hard. You guys should see what goes on in the Philippines for Christmas. Talk about one of the biggest holidays in the country. It is the longest Christmas season, probably in the entire world. I don't quite know, but they celebrate Christmas for about 3 months. It starts at September 1st all the way up to Christmas. And every Filipino show from September on is all Christmas related. I'll never forget that because starting September, my parents would turn on the Filipino channel and it would just be celebration upon celebration upon celebration. But there's a lot of things that are still in common with the Philippines and America. When Americans put up Christmas lights, we also have our own type of Christmas lights, and it's called a parol. It's like a flower-looking Christmas light. A lot of Filipinos, if you're listening, you know exactly what I'm talking about, but they're also really cute. A lot of times, especially in Filipino tradition, the traditional way is to celebrate something called Simpang Gabi, which is night mass, and these are usually super late night services for church that last 10 days before Christmas. So you would attend nightly services that in their own way add to different aspects related to Christmas. And oh my goodness, I remember going to the Philippines during the Christmas holiday season, and it was crazy because this was way back when I was 10, about 10-ish years ago. But when I went, you know how New Jersey doesn't have fireworks legally? Well, at the time, it was crazy. Everybody was blowing up fireworks everywhere, and you could literally have a firework going off 2 centimeters from your face. And it was scary, but also kind of cool. They celebrate hard in the Philippines. I mean, it's a little different now, especially in Jersey, because, you know, it gets cold and you can't really blow up fireworks. And fireworks are legal now, but to do in the wintertime, it's kind of risky. And no one really does it just because it's not really part of the tradition. But I loved that when I was in the Philippines, and I'd love to go back and kind of celebrate Christmas there one day, you know, when the coronavirus is all over and done with. But see, even now I'm talking about traveling on Christmas. I've been so used to traveling on Christmas that just staying at home is so new to me. And I'm honestly a little bit excited now that I'm talking about it because I can actually do some things that I have never really done. And even having my own apartment, it's really cool to kind of have a tree and decorate it and dress up my puppy in Christmas clothes and watch him bite it and be annoyed with it. And I'm just going to laugh my ass off. It's just cool. There's a lot of new things that are still coming up my way. And that's why I stress so heavily to be grateful for the things that you have, because even those little things are something that will help continue to keep you positive during the holidays. And I just think it's so funny because for you guys who are not festive, I definitely do not suggest spending a long vacation in the Philippines during the Burr months from September to December to even January. I'm telling you, the celebrations do not stop, and it is crazy. If you Google what country celebrates Christmas the longest, I guarantee you the Philippines will be in the top 2, at least, if not the top 1, that celebrates Christmas so long. But we did do things like White Elephant or Secret Santa, so that was still a thing in the Filipino tradition. So we're not too far apart from each other, but how long we celebrate Christmas is insane. But yeah, even the pandemic now has changed even just our ability to watch a Christmas show, for example, because they can't really do that anymore because of the coronavirus. And it's just a lot of different things this year that I feel like is going to take a little while for everyone to realize. So when everyone's traveling, I am nervous about that for sure. There's no telling what's going to happen in terms of cases and how everyone's going to handle, especially in the US, because I still truly feel like everyone's still being a little bit reckless, and it's just so frustrating because other countries are basically over and done with it. They are experiencing some surge, but not as bad as we are. I mean, we've had 1 million new cases in just, I think, the past 2 weeks because of Thanksgiving. So there's obviously something we're doing wrong, and I'm just trying to figure out why people are still kind of trying to fight against the fact that this whole thing is changing our lives. And that's one thing I'm also sad about, is the fact that I have to be stuck in cold weather for Christmas. And that rarely happens. I'm usually in Florida where it's humid and a little rainy sometimes, but typically hot. And that's going to be new to me too. I feel like our family kept leaving New Jersey to go travel somewhere warmer because if we weren't in cold weather, we weren't getting sick. And I know that's kind of a weird mentality, but I'm pretty sure that's why we did it. And it just ended up being this cool tradition. And we didn't fly to Florida. We drove all the way there, which was even more fun because it was like this holiday road trip. But we did miss all the time with our friends and our family. So it was nice. Even last year we did that and it was nice to see our family and friends. And now, of course, after the 1 year we can do it, everything changes. But that's what I'm saying. It's not going to be the same as how it was, but it can still be a good one. There's a lot of things to pull out of what's going on in our lives that we can still be super grateful and positive about and spread it to other people during these holidays. One of my favorite Christmas memories is literally 10 years ago, and it's so funny talking about this right now and what I'm grateful for. And I thought about my family. I went to Florida 10 years ago with my cousins. One of them was from the Navy and the other one just came with us. But two really funny stories, and she's going to hate me if she ever finds out that I talked about this, but I won't say who it is. But we went to Florida, and my brother was the cutest little baby ever. I think he was like 1 year old. I don't even know how old he was, but he was a baby. And he would not stop singing the little Einstein's theme song the whole drive to Florida. So like literally it was the most annoying thing, but still the cutest thing to look back at. I have the cutest video of him. But the other story that I remember, and I really don't want to put her in blast, she's going to kill me. But we went to Florida and I was sleeping with my cousin, and I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, what the hell? I like touched the bed and it was soaking wet. So at 2 a.m, I stood up really quick and I was like, Dad. And he was on the other bed. We had like a huge suite style hotel where there were 3 or 4 beds and then a couch with a pull-out bed too. So I was waking up my dad. I was like, Dad, I think the bed is wet. I think the roof is leaking or whatever. And I woke everyone up. Everyone turned on the lights. And lo and behold, my cousin peed herself. And I literally woke up everybody to let them all know that she had an accident on the bed. And it was just so embarrassing. And that's one of my favorite Christmas memories, actually. And another story, I hate the fact that I'm on the topic of peeing, but again, we went to Florida another year for Christmas, and it was my first time on Splash Mountain. I literally will never forget this story because even to this day, I still have little jitters when I'm online for Splash Mountain. But at the very end, there's a huge drop. And not huge, whatever. It was huge to me when I was that age. But right as the drop happened, I peed myself. So I guess it runs in the family. But whatever, enough about peeing. I had to get those two stories out because literally to this day, not many people know that story and it's just so funny to me. But even little things like the elf on the shelf, I've never done that. There are so many things that I don't really do. And when I think about it and look back, what did I do that was kind of American Christmas traditional celebration-ish? I didn't even write letters to Santa when I was younger. I'm pretty sure I didn't do that. The only thing we did, which is so typical of Filipino tradition, is singing, but not holiday songs. Yes, we did sing a few holiday songs every now and then, but damn, you guys, if you come to a Filipino party, especially in the holidays, best believe you'll find a karaoke machine somewhere. If it's not me singing If I Ain't Got You by Alicia Keys, it's me singing holiday songs. If it's not that, it's somebody else singing a song by Journey. And I know a lot of Filipinos listening can 100% relate, but if you guys have Filipino friends, and not this year obviously, but you should definitely go to a Filipino party and see how they karaoke because literally everyone gets drunk. It's the funniest thing ever. Oh my God. And speaking of drunk Christmases, last year, Christmas Eve, I got a little too cuckoo pants, if you know what I'm saying. But we all went home and we opened our gifts Christmas Eve, like at 12 midnight when we got home. And I remember laying down on the couch. Everyone was opening their presents. And I remember what everyone got, but as soon as everyone finished opening them, I fell asleep apparently. And the next morning I woke up and it was morning. I was like, what the hell? Where is everyone? And my family failed to wake me up and tell me to go to bed. So they basically laughed at me and went to sleep. It was so weird. But even that day, that's so funny to me because my parents never really saw me little cuckoo pants like that. Yeah, when I say cuckoo pants, yes, I was shit faced. But they have never really seen me like that. So it was funny for them to just kind of be like, okay, whatever, and then go to sleep and just, realize that this is such a normal thing and just whatever. But yeah, I just love talking about Christmas, and I think the memories of past Christmases and just the fact that you have great people around you is just something enough to be positive and festive about this year. I'm saying it to you guys, but I'm even telling this to myself because I still struggle right now to be in the Christmas mood. I don't think I'm even anywhere near to feeling Christmassy and turning on Christmas music. I will eventually, but I think it's not a good habit to continue being anxious and negative about everything going on. I think a good way of thinking is to see the good out of everything going on and try to continue to keep the holiday spirit. One thing I'm super nervous about, especially around Christmas and winter time, is the fact that my dog has literally never seen snow before. So I'm kind of worried, and I hope that he doesn't freak out. But I feel like because he's never seen it before, he's going to be so confused and he won't go to the bathroom and he'll just play all the time. So it'll be cute and all, but I hope that he knows that it's still a place where he can go potty. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, even other traditions like playing games or something late at night. I never really did that, but my Filipino friends would know. The only game that we really played was Uno, and let me tell you, Uno got crazy at Filipino houses. That was like our drunk type of game where, there would be drinks involved and we would just go crazy on Uno. And it's just so funny thinking about crazy people just fighting over the +4. And I don't know, Uno's just funny to me. And the one time we were home last year, everyone was kind of wearing matching outfits, which was so cute. I can't wait to do that again, even with just my boyfriend and my dog. It's just so fun. I'm getting so excited talking about it. I wonder if everyone's feeling the same. And of course, with my parents being religious, it was also a time, Christmas is related heavily with Jesus and just religion in general. So that even was a good reminder for me that Christmas is something to be grateful for everyone around you and for what you have, and just there's blessings in everything. So I think just that mentality is also staying with me this time of the year, just because that's always how it was, where I was reminded when I was a kid and growing up that, hey, Christmas is not about presents. It's about the fact that, in our religion, Jesus died for our sins. And I think that just thinking about sacrifice is a major symbol in how I celebrate Christmas personally. So that is why, especially even this year, I am grateful for whatever I can do to celebrate Christmas. And before we were traveling to Florida every year for Christmas, I was in church doing plays for just the story of Jesus and everything. And even that kind of is special to me. It's a special memory in my childhood as well. Do you guys want to know another super crazy thing? I never really watched a Charlie Brown Christmas. Yeah. That's been around for 50 years-ish, and I haven't seen it. Yeah, that's something to check off my list as well. And I think the crazy thing about families and Christmas and traditions is that, it's something that happens every year during Christmas, the same shit. But me personally, I think my tradition in my family was not having a tradition, because I swear every year we always did something different, and this year is definitely not an exception to that rule. So I think it's cool that our tradition was actually not having one. Since I am a person of switching things up, it's no surprise that my family is the same way. So the biggest and closest thing that we did have that was tradition was just going to Florida. So I definitely missed that. And just thinking about the fact that we can't do that maybe this year, maybe not even next year, it's sad, but there's still so many things that we can do together or through video. It's just making the most of what you're provided with or what you can do. Even my close friends' Friendsgiving, we were supposed to have one soon just to enjoy each other's presence and still socially distance, but because the surges are going up again in New Jersey, we had to reschedule it. So just knowing that might not happen for a little while, it's also sad. And I just really wish that everything could just go back to normal. But I know that the hard truth is that it's not going to. So it's just a matter of making the best of it. And I'm sure I'll find a million other ways to occupy my time. And now that we have the time, especially in our 20s, there's a good time for us to kind of set aside goals and have resolutions and figure out what exactly we want from the next year. And especially because the 20s is so important in our life in entirety, there is a good time for us to really think about what have we accomplished this year? What can we do next year? But I'll be talking about that for the New Year's episode. But now that we have the time and the space to really be in our thoughts, I think this year for Christmas, I am thinking mostly about family and how much that's been such an important thing for me. And now that it's potentially becoming at risk because of the coronavirus, I'm starting to realize that it really is something so important to me. And it's just honestly strengthening my priorities that I put my family first really more than anything. And I think that's awesome because it really is a moment for us to sit back and kind of just enjoy the company with each other without having to deal with too much busyness. I mean, even shopping isn't as crazy this year. And I mean, I didn't buy that many presents. I don't know about you guys, but even my family, they've always just stressed on the fact that the best gift is the quality time that you spend with each other. But it's something important to remember that we shouldn't go too crazy for Christmas dinners and celebrations. And I feel like the holidays is a big time for people to lose track of their fitness goals, and they kind of just let go because it's the holidays, and one cheat meal turns into a cheat month, turns into cheat holidays, and it's hard to come back for it. So that's also something to remember. And since we have the time, it's good to put aside time to exercise as well. I feel like personally, especially around Thanksgiving when it happened, I was eating a lot, especially because there are leftovers, but I'm going to try this time not to break those rules for myself. And remember how in the beginning I was complaining about watching things on Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus? Well, it sucks because I just read an article about CBS coming out with a lot of Christmas movies, and I'm sad I'm going to be missing it, but I will determine a way to watch it for sure. Because we stream, we don't have cable, so I'm going to figure it out. But yeah, check out CBS. It's going to have better movies than what the other streaming services have. And the last thing I do want to say is Christmas is the season of giving. Yes, it is buying things for your family, your friends, your loved ones, getting them gifts, spending quality time together. But especially now, I think it's important that if you do have the time and money to give back to companies who need it or organizations that need it, don't forget to give back to them too, even small businesses for Christmas presents. I said this for Thanksgiving, especially because of the Black Friday deals, but it's still important to go and support the small businesses. So yeah, I'd love to hear about your own specific traditions for Christmas and your funny memories, because I feel like the holidays are the times where the most random shit happens, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one with weird stories. Maybe it's not peeing, but anyways, yeah, I hope you guys have a really good Christmas and happy holidays to everybody. Stay warm, stay safe, stay healthy, and just remember the greatest thing, that family and loved ones are probably the most important thing right now over everything in this season. And if you have any shows that you recommend or movies, especially for the holidays, I feel like I'm getting a blank and I don't know why. There's literally nothing on Netflix. I'm so surprised and disappointed, but maybe the originals are a little better. I'd love to hear from you guys if you've seen them already. But yeah, that's it. Thanks so much for listening, you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys have a cozy and fun Christmas and stay in touch with your families, and I hope everybody's just safe. If you guys have any questions or DMs or topics you want to talk about, DM me at Instagram at Philline Podcast. It's FEELINPHILLINE Podcast. And my TikTok is the same username. My Twitter is at Philline. And that's it for now. Till next time. Bye.